And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I am your host along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. The air just feels a little better. Yeah, my head feels a little clearer. Last time I was wiping my nose every 5 seconds because I was stuffed up. But the Raiders come away with a win in Pittsburgh. I thought I picked before the season started. I picked the Raiders to go to the playoffs. I know it's a long way away. I'm not tooting my horn, but I thought they would lose the first 2 games and then go on a run. Now, what do you do when they win these first 2 games? I just want to get into this part of it because this is a quick show. The next show will be the show where we have the all 22 and all things like that. But Ryan, everybody told me that Gus Bradley would have no effect. Michael Lombardi said this is an old style defense that nobody plays in the league anymore. Nobody should be playing this whole cover 3 stuff. It's not, you're playing the same fronts all the time, all this stuff like that. I don't know how you watch these first 2 games and not tell me that Gus Bradley, Hiller and Millis has not had a huge impact on this Raider football team.
Not clearly the difference between this year and last year so far as the play of the defense, specifically the defensive line. And then just the way the secondary, other than the ball that got over our net's head there at the end, where there was a push off by Claypool that was missed, but they've kept everything in front of them. And for the most part, they've gotten guys on the ground and forced teams to try to move the ball and dink and dunk it downfield. And some quarterbacks in this league just aren't going to take that ball in the flat. They'll give it to them. They'll give them the 5-yard completion whenever they want. And you saw that early with Juju. You saw a couple of times where Harris got into the flat and was open, but these quarterbacks want to throw the ball down the field, and they're not willing to do that. And the pressure got home for the most part. There was the big sack numbers. Clearly, Ngakoue wasn't 100%. He didn't show this burst coming off the edge. But kudos for him for getting it out and getting out on the field. I thought the interior defensive line played really well today. Phylon, Thomas,
Solomon Thomas.
Jefferson, really.
Solomon
those guys showed out on the inside. Yeah. And this defense is night and day from any Raiders defense we've seen, and it's just simplify the scheme. Guys know where they're supposed to be. You can scheme it up against this defense and move the ball if you can't get pressure. But if the Raiders are going to get pressure, they're going to be able to play defense and stop people. And they did a good job of that today. And they stopped the run for the most part too, which was good.
Yeah, I mean, they really did a good job of that. And I feel like it's just and what about this more calm, under control number 24 playing for the Raiders right now? Like, I mean, if that's last year, the play on the left sideline, he slams that guy into the ground. I mean, it's clear. He no doubt he would have done that. He didn't do it. He laid out in a clean tackle Deontay Johnson just to send a message at the end of the game when it was over. He's played well. And I'm quite. I think even though Yannick Ngakoue did not have his best game today because he was hurt, Max gives you, those guys on the ends give you so much that the people in the interior are going to start eating. Like, I mean, it's clear. That's what you're doing. And Ryan, these quarterbacks don't like pressure up the middle. That's clear.
No, clear. And they got to Roethlisberger a couple of times. You saw Max, a guy knocked the ball out, kind of fumbled it, and he was able to flip it to Harris for no gain. But they hit him. They couldn't get him on the ground a few times, but I'm just impressed with the way the defensive line just keeps coming in waves, and the fact that they're not blitzing. The Raiders probably blitzed twice in the first week, and I want to say today there was probably less than 3 or 4 blitzes. There wasn't a lot. Big props to the linebacking core again. Like Denzel Perryman is playing really well. Yeah. KJ Wright is where he's supposed to be, and he's making the plays. Like, he's not out of position. He had to come in and play in the nickel. When Perryman got hurt, he was able to play multiple different linebacker spots today. Corey Littleton, again, in coverage, seemed to be fine. He actually, stepped up and stopped the run on the hole. He missed that play on the goal line for a touchdown on that Juju Smith-Schuster when he went off tackle. But for the most part, the linebackers have played fine. And you've seen the cornerbacks, for the most part, make plays down the field. And to see a Raiders corner down the field and Casey Hayward not panic, not grab, not interfere, and just break up a play when he's one-on-one with a guy like Claypool. We haven't seen that in a long time.
And on those plays, he did a good job of playing the ball because Claypool has him by a couple inches. I mean, a lot of inches. So, I mean,
about 6 inches.
Yeah. So it's for him to make the play on the ball really showed his, he's a veteran, can make plays. So Casey Hayward. And then listen, this is the play. The one thing I didn't like about, it was offensive pass interference on Claypool. Because I would figure, Claypool couldn't run away from Arnett. So I understand that part, but you're a couple years removed from college now. Let's make sure the guy's down. Like let's stop.
So,
Let's stop. I don't care if you have to tap him on the butt, whatever you got to do, just make sure he's on the ground down, and we're not going to have a cheap touchdown. But besides that, I love how Hobbs plays. I feel like he was in the right place at the right time. And it seems like he doesn't miss tackles either. And this was a game where Foster Moreau, who Raider fans love and who I love, that second tight end really came in and made some plays. The back shoulder was a great play, helping out on blocks. And then the touchdown pass, that was probably one of Carr's best ones today. He kind of put that thing in the corner where, it was nobody can get it besides Foster Moreau.
Clearly, Foster Moreau played a huge part in the game plan, especially after Leatherwood went out. You saw Gruden move him from the left to the right side quite often and kept him in the block, give the offensive a little bit of help. And kudos to Tom Cable. I mean, he's down basically 3 starters on the offensive line. And then he's got Andre James at center, who didn't really stand out today, good or bad. I guess that's a good thing. We'll see when we see the run blocking on the All-22, because they couldn't run the ball at all, but they didn't try to as well, which I thought was good. They basically just abandoned the run game and said, hey, we're going to spread it out. We're going to try to get the matchups we like. We know they're going to play zone. And then Carr just picked them apart underneath. And then when the shots were there, he took them. Yeah. And that throw down the field to Ruggs basically sealed the game. That was identical to the play they ran against the Rams in the scrimmage where Ruggs split the double coverage for the touchdown. It was a mirror image. So it was good to see them go back to that and get Ruggs involved. They spread the ball around. They had multiple guys with 7 targets, some with 6, some with 5. The guys went out there and everyone produced. And, Carr showed some this when he came from that injury. I was gasping. I had a flashback of the Colts game in 2016 when he went down on that touchdown throw. But he fought his way back in there and he kept making play after play after play. And it was good to see him do that when he had an offensive line that was in shambles. And somehow they made the plays and held on to win this game. And then Daniel Carlson with the big kicks, just nailing 45-yarders like they're nothing.
Dude, and I think too, you talk about Carlson, talk about Cole, who also was kicking bombs out here. I mean, they're really looking like I keep comparing him to Leckler and Seabass, but he's been more accurate. I mean, he's been killing it. He's been killing the ball as far as that goes. But on special teams and on this show, we talk special teams. You see a lot of starters. You see Mullen. You see Abram. You see some guys who you see start on defense for the Raiders, play special teams, and it makes a difference. You're not seeing big runs. You're not seeing, how many times have you seen the Raiders score and then they give a big kickoff return? They have been, kind of keeping everybody contained on the outside and then making plays. And on some of these tackles, they're making these returners who don't fair catch the ball pay for it. I mean, they're this close to getting a special teams fumble in these games, Ryan.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better when Nixon comes back because he's their best special teams player. But Littleton also plays on special teams as a starter. That's where he made a name for himself with the Rams. I thought, the one time the punt returner got loose, he got out to the left side there, and thankfully Derek Carrier was able to get the edge and force him back in. There was a clear block in the back. Abram got pushed right in the back, right when the guy who caught the ball and made his first cut to go left. I think the refs missed that one. We'll see that on all 22. But for the most part, if Carlson can just kick the ball out of the end zone and basically help the coverage team on kickoffs. And there were times where they returned it and they stopped them inside the 20, which was good to see. And Marquel Lee showed up on special teams today. I saw him get a tackle, but it was a good team effort. The Raiders were faced with a lot of adversity this week. It's a short week after an overtime game. A ton of guys are going out with cramps, which I thought was kind of weird considering their practice in Vegas in the heat. You'd think they'd be hydrated. But they were losing guys left and right on defense. Perryman, Hayward went out twice. Mullen left the game at some point. Ngakoue didn't play a lot. He played a little bit early and a little bit towards the end once they had the lead, but he wasn't in there for a majority of the game. Yeah. But it was just good to see them rotate in different guys and not see like the big blown coverages again. These guys know this defense, and they picked it up really quick. And kudos to Gus Bradley and Ron Miles, because you hear about, hey, we're going to draft young guys, we're going to put them out there, they're going to play. And Merrick and Nate Hobbs have been really good. The first fantastic.
So, and you won't hear those names on the national when watching national media too. So don't worry, Raider fans, don't worry about it. Long as we know that they're good, it doesn't really matter. Gruden Gruden, I thought like, sometimes the best things you do are just passing the ball. I did like how, they got Drake involved instead of handing it off, give him, if they're going to give you that flat 6 yards and in 6 yards, he won't get touched and get 7 yards on it. My only beef with Gruden a little bit was, listen, I understand, brother. I know you want them Charlie Gardner, Zach Crockett days. I get it. But the best thing you do right now is throw the football. So just continue to throw the football, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like on a second and short, like don't run that ball, man. Don't run it. Don't throw the ball, to these receivers. Get these guys involved. Edwards is making plays. Ruggs is making plays. I have a friend of mine who's at the game was showing that, he was like, he had a big gasp in his throat because if you see the slow-mo of the Ruggs play, that ball is slipping down his leg. And I'm like, if he drops it, he was like, if he drops this ball, I'm gonna flip out. But he's able to hold on. But they did a really good job. Still have issues in the red zone. And I think issues in what he really wants to do in short yardage. But we called it when they had to ice the game. They went deep to Waller. That was a big play. Talks about a little bit of a play calling. When we get to all 22, we'll see a little bit more. But what are your thoughts about the game plan? And also you talked about in our text thread going to power late in the game, and it kind of paid off for him.
Yeah, clearly there was a change up because they were running a lot of zone early in the game. They just couldn't get the blocks at the point of attack. Barber was getting stuff. Drake was getting stuff. And then you noticed at this, I think they got the ball back with about 6 or 7 minutes left, and then they started pulling the guard. You saw Simpson coming around. You saw, guys man on just trying to open up gas. They had some success running the ball later in the game with those concepts. And, they don't have guys right now where they can run that outside zone scheme. They're not going to run it with Simpson, Illuminaire, Parker can, but then James on the inside, he was having a tough time getting to the second level in the first half. You could see him kind of getting stuck on blocks. And then Gruden changed it up and they just went downhill. Here comes Zach, his version of Zach Crockett now, I guess, Peyton Barber. But kudos to him. We were texting back and forth, they had to throw the ball there with 3 minutes left. They weren't going to run it 3 times to punt it back. They went Y wheel and they got Schobert matched one-on-one with Darren Waller, and Carr makes a good throw, and game over at that point. And then Carlson kicks the field goal. But I did get a little scared there in the fourth quarter when it was 3rd and 3, and they ran the ball with like 6 minutes left and then punted it back, and they kept trying to run wide with Barber.
Ran it wide too on top of
it. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what he's setting up with that play where he's in the shotgun and they got Drake to the right of Carr and they brought Winfro in the backfield and lined up behind him.
Me too.
They ran it twice. So they ran it on 3rd and 3 on the first drive. Okay, you're thinking they're set something up. They get to midfield. It's like 2nd and 1. You're like, okay, what are they going to set up? They're going to take a shot. Gruden set this up in the first half. And they ran the ball on the zone handoff to Drake, and he gets stopped for like a 4-yard loss. So 2nd and 1 becomes 3rd and 5, and they end up punting. So he's going to do something. We're going to see that again at some point this season. I was wondering why they didn't go to it in this game, because they clearly were trying to show something on film for teams to look at. But the game plan overall was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Don't try to run the ball 4 or 5 wide, let Carr see the defenses and hit guys underneath. And then Renfro made some plays. They got the ball quickly to Ruggs a couple of times, which is good to see. Edwards. And then Waller they were double teaming Waller. So those other guys had to win. And it was good to see Carr trust them in the second half. And in the first half, he didn't really work to those guys. So we'll see if they got open or not. But he trusted Edwards. And that hold call on Leatherwood, I'm still wondering where the hold was. He whiffed. He didn't even touch Ingram. And that should have been a touchdown for the Raiders there too. But this game, for everything that happened, good and bad, this could have been like a 35-10 game in the Raiders' favor.
This
really on the win. They dominated that game for the most part.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's good to see.
And if you're the Bills, you got to be kicking yourself for losing to this team last week. Like, I mean, because this team
I told you I watched the Steelers-Bills game. I didn't think the Steelers were that good. So the defense played well, but the offense didn't do anything.
Yeah, they didn't move anything. So last week was a kind of a mirage for that team, the Steelers, and they did not listen. And we talked. I texted it out like, listen, keep stacking these tiebreakers, keep stacking these wins. Like I don't know what the season is going to be for the Ravens. I don't know what it's going to be for the Steelers, but at least we know if it's a head to head, the Raiders will prevail in that. Brandon Parker. Decent job. Didn't get killed. We're always like, terrified. he does do a good job of that little bear hug block that they hit the little bear hug block. He doesn't get called for holding on it for whatever reason. But listen, for the most part, kept the quarterback clean. We had that scare where Carr went down. As far as that goes. But thoughts about Brandon Parker? I know Tom Cable might be pounding his chest talking about the best swing left tackle in the game right now.
Well, thankfully TJ Watt wasn't on the field, or else it might have been different, because I think TJ Watt's kind of whipped Brandon Parker. He held his own against Melvin Ingram, and they had another guy, number 40. I don't know who that was, but they had another guy rushing against him there in the quarter. But for the most part, he held his own. I want to see all 22 break of how he did. They ran behind him a couple of times. Some of those power runs are going to the right, so we'll see how he held up there. But for the most part, when your third tackle's in the game on the road, no penalties, no false starts, no holdings, and they were able to move the ball. That's all you can ask for out of a backup offensive tackle.
Yeah, no question about it. As far as that goes, do you think they're still searching, or they're gonna ride Peyton Barber here a little bit until Jacobs gets back?
Well, hopefully Jacobs is back next week. They can't continue to play this style of offense where they're just going to throw the ball 40, 50 times a week. It's worked the first 2 weeks just based on the defense they've played against. But at some point, they're going to have to pound the rock and set up some of those play action shots, the Yankee concepts, the stuff Gruden wants to dial up down the field. And hopefully, Miami's not going to be an easy front again to run the ball against. But the Chargers, I don't think they stop the run very well at all. So maybe we see them eat against the Chargers. But I think that he's fine with those two backs, and then Regis and Jalen Richard's probably coming back here in the next couple of weeks, in the next week or two. He was spotted at the facility without a boot on, walking around. So we'll see. But for now, if Jacobs can't go next week, you're going to see Kenyon Drake and Peyton Barber, and hopefully Rich Incognito to try to help this run game.
Yeah. Do you think that real quick about Regis, do you think it's just a pass protection aspect of this game that he's just scared about putting him out there with?
Oh, absolutely. Trying to run him out there. It's different when he's playing in the preseason, but he has Barber who can do that, short yardage, pass protect. Kenyon Drake can do that, and they have Moreau who can help the tackles when need be. So I don't think it's a huge issue. And Pittsburgh didn't blitz much today. If this wasn't the Blitzburgh defense where they're bringing pressure from everywhere. Pretty similar to what they did last week against Buffalo.
They probably can't with the people they have on the outside.
Yeah, it was big. But when they lost Devin Bush before the game, Joe Hayden was out, and then when they lost, Watt, that really opened it up for the Raiders, because the game plan to start the game was a little simplistic, a little boring, to be honest. They were trying to be conservative, don't turn the ball over, stay in the game. And then once those guys started to go down, then Gruden opened up the playbook a little bit, and then Carr started taking some shots down the field and connected on them. So I'm glad they got aggressive there in the third quarter when they had the chance to. And that ball basically won the game.
Yeah, no question.
He was double covered there. Let's not be wrong. Like, Fitzpatrick was there, and he just aired it out and said, "Go get it," which is what they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Let him run
with the rules. You have to take shots. You have to. I mean, everything is for the receivers in the National Football League. You got to take shots, and I feel like they took their shots and they were successful. I mean, at least get a PI if you can't get it. If you can't get a touchdown on it, as far as that goes, we got to see what some of these injuries are. See how Leatherwood's going to be. Richie Incognito. I mean, like, I never expected him to really play. So if he plays, it's, hopefully he is able to play against his former team, the Miami Dolphins, next week. But if you think Monday night was rocking in Allegiant, you got a 2-0 Raider team coming in to that building. That's going to be crazy. And if you're a Dolphin fan, I'm sure you're selling that ticket right now. Because you know what could be coming. Any other thoughts before we get out of here? This is kind of a quicker show for us. Just quick reactions between Ryan and myself about the Raiders' victory, 26-17, out there in Pittsburgh.
It just looks like Derek Carr showed today he's going to take his game to another level. They didn't have an offensive line; they couldn't run the ball for 2 weeks, and he's basically beaten Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and then just how this team looks with a competent defense. We were shooting, hey, let's try to finish, top 20, 18-20. This defense might finish in the top 15, somewhere 12, 13, the way they keep playing.
Yeah.
And it's injuries. It's a war of attrition. We're in week 17. The Raiders are down several players, but they caught a break today. Tua Tagliavoa went out with an injury, and Jacoby Brissett had to play for the Dolphins. They got shit out 35-0. So
Yeah.
the Raiders are catching some breaks here in the early part of the season with all the injuries to the Ravens. They have their injuries of their own, but then, the injuries that Steelers had on defense, and now the quarterback for the Dolphins might not play next week. They have to take advantage of those. You don't give back wins in the National Football League,
No,
so take them however you can get them.
no. You go out there and you win as much as you can, and hope everything else takes care of itself as far as that goes. So, Red Nation, the Raiders win off to a 2-0 start. We'll get the regular show out there for you as well, but this is kind of a quick reaction between myself and Ryan. Raiders win. Have a good Sunday. Take care.